For the last 3 years, between recording segments of the D6 generation, Russ, Craig, and Rafe have had various conversations that have spanned the interests of gamerdom worldwide. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, The Lost Chapters.
Here we are back at Dunkin' Donuts
For the 13th time.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. We
Lost
got
chapter
to
number
work
13.
against the stereotype.
You know, just to celebrate Lucky 13, I'm going to order a baker's dozen of donuts.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I want
so much for that diet.
I want 7 blueberry cake and 6 Boston cream, please. Let's just go right to the good stuff. Cut right to the chase. Although, one of those little French crawlers might not be a bad call.
Can I have a glaze?
And you're at 14.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, how come they don't make the powdered donuts anymore?
Yeah, those are hard to find. That's my daughter's favorite. In fact,
Me too.
This is kind of scary. The only place to find powdered donuts now for my daughter is when I take her to my grandfather's retirement community at the Sunday morning buffet. They still have white powdered donuts there. And now she loves what's the best part is she loves to go see her great grandfather now because she gets white powdered donuts. So,
But why? Why does the world have against white powdered donuts?
It's this damn kids and their drive-through mentality. They don't want to get the white powder on their nice leather seats, so they don't eat white powdered donuts. In my day, we ate white powdered donuts and we liked it.
I used to dip them in milk. Oh, my God.
Now, I think,
never liked them.
Can you still get powdered munchkins? I think you still can.
No, you can't.
No.
I'm Googling it.
Now, can you still buy them in the store?
Googling it.
Can you still buy them at Entman's? No? Maybe?
I've seen them there.
But fresh Dunkin' Donuts. Entman's. The Entman's bakers, they make little... It's
not at a store.
No,
Entman's
grocery
is
store.
stuff you find in the grocery store.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
they
a store.
still make
Okay.
them.
Yeah, right.
So
White
I
powder
got
donut.
as far as why cannot you buy in the Google search. These are the top 5 that's suggesting. Why can't you buy H&M online?
Oh, my God.
Why can't you buy alcohol on Sunday? Why can't you buy Yingling in Ohio? Why can't you buy AC/DC on iTunes? I've wondered that same question myself. And why can't you buy high fructose corn syrup?
I don't know.
Now, how's that for your TLC buck? That's worth it right
What's
there.
H&K?
I don't know. All right. Well, okay. Moving right along. I don't know how to respond to that. Okay. Moving right along. So what we wanted to do, we thought we'd do with this Lost Chapter. One of our listeners had the great idea that we should go back through some of the old games we reviewed and kind of let you know where they are now. Are we still playing them? Do we miss them anymore? Have we sold them, thrown them away, had them eaten? So I thought it'd be kind of fun. We'll just go through starting with episode 1 and work our way forward, and we'll get as far as we do here at Dunkin' Donuts today till they kick us out. And if it goes well and you guys like it, we'll do another one and just keep doing it in batches and kind of every once in a while update you on where some of those classic games we reviewed so many years ago and find out. So starting with episode 1 that was recorded 3 years ago in February 2008, we reviewed no games in episode 1, sadly. We just talked about the difference between Privateer Press and Games Workshop. So moving right along, episode 2, however, we reviewed our very first game review ever, Tannhauser.
Yes. Now that's had an interesting 3 years,
Or
hasn't it?
Tannhauser, as they say. Now, this is a game that we really enjoyed when we first played it. Played it quite a bit, actually, when we first got it. Then kind of took a little hiatus because other games came up, whatever. But then they reprinted the rule book, or they came out with a new book, right?
Yeah.
And I started playing it again. I played several games with the new book.
Oh, you did? I haven't
did.
played it once, and I'm pissed.
I played it once.
And I like the new rules better, by the way. The new rules are cleaner and more fun and easier to set up. Then I took a hiatus again, but now Fantasy Flight's coming out with a cool samurai Japanese faction that looks just
really?
awesome. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, I kind of want that. So the miniatures are really cool. So it's a game that, for me, it's still in my collection. I've not sold it. Still have the new book. I have some of the expansions, but not all of them. I'm kind of looking at I didn't get Operation Novgorod, or how you pronounce that, but I do have some of the individual people, and I really want to get the Japanese guys for no apparent reason because they just look cool. And I would play it again in a heartbeat. In fact, I almost broke it out the other day, and someone else distracted me with some of the new shiny thing. So what about you guys?
My turn. I want to go.
What do you think?
Okay, go.
All right. I bought the new rulebook. I liked the game when I played it. I thought the concept was neat. I liked the circles. I want to play it again, and I have no good reason of not playing it except that so many other games come up, and I want to play it. I want to play it with the new rulebook, And Russ, what just one thing off the top of your head, what did they change that you just like? I mean, what I liked about the rule book in my mind was if everybody owned a rule book, everybody could do their loadouts. That was my one critique 3 years ago.
Yeah,
all of ours.
The loadout. They also simplified the turn sequences much simpler now.
They did. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you could play it with Lou though. It's not that complicated a game. You might try that.
Yeah.
You might like that. Yeah. What do you think, Craig? Have you had a chance to read?
I played it exactly a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, at Andy Palooza 1.0. And it was
that's
okay.
when he turned 40.
What's that?
That was when he turned 40.
I thought he turned 50 that year.
Yeah. He's 50 this year.
Right. I like it. I like it. I like the models. I like the concept. I like all the components. I don't know. I mean, it comes. A lot of these games are going to come under a category that I would call I would play it.
Right.
I'm not going to rush out and buy it. I would like to play it. I think it would be cool if we played it more often, but I don't feel the lack. Like I don't look at it on the shelf and go, why aren't we playing that? Which is another category that I'll come across over the
what did happen to me though?
45 minutes or so.
You made me think of, Craig, and I think the reason this game doesn't get out as much as it should is that it's got kind of a long setup time, right?
It does.
You've all got to break out your things. And I remember in the original version of Tannhauser, I had pre-made all the character cards. I've gotten printouts of them.
And you have to.
And pre-equipped them all with standard loadouts. And I would just say, everybody, you're playing this guy. And I had them in little card sleeve holders, just passed them out. And then you could play it instantly. And then when the new rulebook came out, I liked it much better. And they changed how equipment worked, but it broke all my pre-made cards. And I haven't sat down to remake those cards. And I think one of the death knells to these games that we don't get them out as much as we think we don't know why is we just go, I don't feel like setting it all up. Because there's so many games that are faster. So I think I just got to take, because I do miss, I look at it, I'm like, I should play it again. I really like it.
Yep.
And I like
Telling you, all these games, it's both a benefit and a curse.
Well, it's just different. And what's cool about it, too, is it handles, someone asked me the other day, actually, I recommended Tannhauser to someone. One of our listeners said, hey, it was like 4th of July. It was July 3rd. He gave us like no time. He's like, tomorrow. I got a big event going on. I got 7 to 10 people coming. We want a game we can play outside. Can't have a lot of cards. Can't blow around in the wind. What can we play? It's cool and fun. And these are for gamery types.
Yeah.
And I said, 7 to 10 people. That's a little tough. It's a little small for a werewolf. I'd say Tannhauser. Yeah. And he actually got all excited and he picked up a copy. But he didn't get a chance to play because they decided not to do. They didn't get their gathering together, I guess. But so it's a good spot for that kind of a crowd. Not many games handle that number of people, so it's kind of neat that way.
Yep.
So that's Tannhauser.
But at the same time, when you're playing one guy per player, it does feel kind of.
It's more fun. It's more
fun with multiple people.
Well, less people.
It's more of like a party game when it's like 10 people playing one little guy.
Right. It's definitely better as a couple on couple with each player control of 3 or 4 guys.
Exactly. I think it's an ideal 4 or maybe 6 player game.
Yes.
And it's always better couple on couple. So with that, Craig, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about number 3.
So episode 3, Warhammer Fantasy Battles.
Well, it also has gone through a huge revision recently. Mm-hmm. They're on 8 now?
Yes, version 8.
So I've never played it. When the new game came out, I hear it's fun. I what I've heard from people who like it is that it's more of a lighter kind of game. There's a lot of people like the random charge distance so that the charges aren't automatic nowadays, or you have to work really hard to make them so that you can depend on them. But to be honest,
they say magic is a little bit overpowered.
They say magic is a little bit overpowered.
What do you think about the new models, though, and the new Storm of Magic stuff?
Well, it's GW, so there's some issues with the rules. Yeah. A new revision came out, and I, for the first time in over 10 years, didn't follow the revision. I just stopped collecting stuff.
Right.
But the new models look awesome.
Yeah, they do look awesome.
The Storm of Magic campaign setting, or whatever you want to call it, this summer. I literally read this White Dwarf for the first time in a long time. I was really excited. I read the White Dwarf pretty much cover to cover twice.
Wow.
The models and the terrain that came out with the Storm of Magic are amazing. The monsters that came out with Storm of Magic are awesome. Would I play it if people that I really want to play with if that's what they wanted to play. Like if Joe and John and Pete were like, we want to get back together and do another campaign, then I would totally do that. I like the game. I like the universe. Well, I don't know if I like the game, but I like the universe, and I like the edition 7. But I haven't played it since it came out. I haven't actually played it in a long time. And when my eBay dump does happen, which probably has happened by the time you hear this, but I'm not sure. Who knows? My Empire army is actually going to be, I'm going to auction that whole thing off.
Ooh, that's a sweet army.
That is a sweet army.
It's huge, too. It's like 150 models. But it's not huge now because GW changed, as they tend to do when they change to a new edition. You need more models to play now. So,
Yep.
Well, when I see this, it makes me want to play Mantic's Kings of War. Makes me want to have all my
I think
friends.
we all are aware of that.
Yes, it makes I want all my friends to take all their Warhammer Fantasy armies, and we play that other game.
Uh-huh.
What about you, Russ?
I do not miss this game in any way. I don't. You know what it is? It's nothing to do with the rules. I have no desire to paint up 28mm huge blocks of troops. Even though I used to love Tomb Kings and the new Tomb King models. I mean, I had to admit that Codex, that army book looked fantastic.
Yeah.
The models are fantastic. It's just I'm not in a time in my life anymore where I want to paint 20 models for one unit. That's just
20 is actually a low ball in
Yes.
it with the new
That's
rules.
just not how I roll, and that's to me why Mantic's not doing anything for me either, because it's not the rules that bother me about fantasy. It's literally the model count's just not where I am anymore. I'm just not there. I just can't.
But
do
you
it.
weren't there anymore when we reviewed it either.
No, I wasn't. Yeah,
This isn't a shift.
Yeah, this
3
isn't a
years
shift for
ago,
me.
you
No.
were still.
I was done.
I'm not. I'm done. I went through that phase.
I like Battle Lore for that stuff now. I'm more into little epic scale stuff. Like Battle Lore's perfect for me for that kind of thing.
right.
So that's Warhammer Fantasy Battles. So not much change there. Now here's an interesting one, because remember we're still in springtime 2008 now. We reviewed
Long time ago.
Descent: Road to Legend. Now here's a game that could arguably has stood the test of time.
I would argue that it is because I'm playing it right now.
You are, and for a large chunk of that time between 2008 and this year, I've played almost not quite nonstop, but a pretty good amount of that time. I would say the majority of the months involved there had a game of Descent for me.
Yep.
This game gets serious play.
It does, and it's really, they did a great job. And there's issues with it. There's foibles we've argued about on the show about it, but in the end, it's just a really, really fun, light, great, fun campaign romp with your friends.
Yep.
It is. It's no arguing about it. And I think of the two, well, we'll get to see a Blood later sometime, but Road to Legend definitely started it all with the ultimate expansion for a dungeon crawl game that made the game better.
Right.
So that's
there's an argument in the fact that we had the option to play either, and right now we're playing Road to Legend,
Right.
not Sea of Blood.
right. That's true. Yep. But with removing the outdoor encounters, you might as well play Sea of Blood because that makes them the same.
Well, not really, because kind of, okay.
Except for the island top part, which is actually kind
Right,
of cool.
because that is kind of,
Yeah, the
okay,
island part's
I got it.
So now, episode 5 came along, and we reviewed, actually, episode 5 and 6, we split reviewed a mammoth review of War Machine.
Huh.
Now, War Machine's gone through quite a bit of change since we first talked about it in 2008, right? This was back in Mark 1 days. Of course, all of us have played War Machine a little bit at least since then. Rafe and I played it almost continuously on and off at various leagues and points, and at least every other month I get a game in, usually several times in that time period. Rafe, you still playing it pretty heavily?
Nope, but not through any lack of love. Just haven't gotten around to playing it. It's that goes on the shelf of I want to be playing that game more. As a matter of fact, Alex invited me to go, and you wanted to go too, Russ, but you were blocked out for the July 29th tournament.
The team tournament, yeah.
I 100% would go to that, if I had my weekends free.
Yeah.
So that, to me, you know me, I'm not going to just waste a day at a tournament. So, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I want to go.
Yeah,
That's where I come down on it. I love
very
the models. I like reading the books. I don't exactly go out and buy every book from every faction anymore, again, because of time. But I like the direction they're going. I like the new battle engine. It keeps my interest.
War Machine's the only miniature war game that I currently follow as much as I used to follow GW. So I get every no quarter without fail. I get just about every expansion to my particular army. I've got all the foam ready to go for the new Stormwalker coming out. I've got the new Jack's on order for Signar. I've got that's the one that's the miniature war game that I still have that little passion about. That all things War Machine are awesome. That's the one. I pulled back on Hordes quite a bit. I realized I don't have the time to do both my Trollbloods and my Signar to the same level I used to. But that's my one passion where I still try to go to tournaments once in a while and go to play at cons and things like that because that's my game. So that's still hanging in there pretty good. Craig, how about you? You've pretty much...
Well, I sold my army.
Yeah, you were closer to it before than you are now. So
I was much closer to it before. I was playing it before.
Yep, you were.
I was playing it because it was what everybody was playing.
Right.
Yeah, begrudgingly, but not because you didn't like the game, but because...
Right. Well, I mean, I would say my position is the same, but more intensified. I still think it's a great system. I have come around to the view that it does have, or at least it has developed a good story to it. But I don't like it overall, and I didn't like the aesthetics of it back then, and then the aesthetics kind of came around to my way of thinking for a little bit, and the guys looked a little less anime, and the monsters looked a little more reasonable. And then I think over the last 6 months or so, most of the new releases have been way more in the direction of the shoulder pads are bigger again, and the robot's legs are tinier again. And
I've noticed that too, which I like.
And I think that the War Machines, or whatever they're called, really hammer that home, because honestly, the Khador one looks good, although it looks silly because all you'd have to do is kill the horses. Almost everything else looks just ridiculously silly to me, which is how I felt the very first time I saw the Jack models, because it just looks like they've just jumbled a bunch of pieces together to make something bigger than what they had before. And it's huge, and it's very popular, and people love the War Machines, and Russ has got his foam already. So I'm not saying that I'm right, or that that's a universal view, but to me, the aesthetics went in the direction opposite of where I would say I would like them to go. But I'm not their target market. I've already kind of checked out. So that's my feeling for that.
All right, that's War Machine. So then we've got episode 7 was the episode that had absolutely no references to Monty Python. It was the Shadows over Camelot episode.
3, sir. 3.
3. Episode 7, sir. So what do we think about Shadows over Camelot? Now, back then, I think Craig liked it as much as I did. But I think since
probably.
Battlestar came out, your opinion of Camelot changed quite a bit. So what do we think about it now? I still own my copy. I also have the Merlin's expansion. I don't play it often, but I play it probably once a quarter.
Yeah.
Once every 3 months, if not a little more often than that. Ian is a huge fan of the game, and if anybody will hold still long enough, you'll be playing Shadows of Camelot with him, basically. Well, it's not dead. It's a board game.
It's not dead.
It's not dead. It's still for sale, but he likes that. And we should say this:
our group. Therefore, he likes it.
It's not. No, it's not. It's probably one of the more played board games that comes back into circulation every week on Tuesday. Remember, if you don't really come that often to Tuesdays, so you don't really see what's there. But one thing that's also interesting about just a little bit about the Necro Gamer, for the first time in a long time, I saw Ian go to the store on launch day and buy a new game before anybody else did.
Battleship
Galaxies, yes. He's a huge HeroScape fan, so he was like a no-brainer for him.
Yep.
So what do you guys think of Shadows? I still like it. I'm not sure it's my go-to co-op game, but I still like it a lot.
It's true that I stopped playing it pretty much across the board when Battlestar Galactica came out, not because of Battlestar Galactica, but because over the course of the time between first playing Shadows over Camelot and when Battlestar Galactica came out, I really enjoyed that co-op element of it, and was like wanted that in my gaming experience. But to me, Shadows became more of a almost like a series of solitaire games, and I didn't enjoy the lack of the social interaction for Shadows over Camelot. To me, is everybody doing Monty Python quotes, and I can do that without Shadows over Camelot.
Oh, you need Monty Python quotes. Come on now, how's that a negative? What do you think, Ray?
I'm saying that's the positive, but you can do it without Shadows over Camelot. Whereas now, if I'm looking for a co-op game, Battlestar Galactica to me really gets your brain into that whole, we got to work together, but somebody's working against us. I mean, it really engages me on way more levels than Shadows over Camelot, which like I said, feels like 80% a solitaire game.
Yeah, I think maybe it's lighter than Battlestar, which in some cases is good, in some cases isn't. What do you think, Rafe? It's dead to you?
Yeah, I have no time in my life for Shadows over Camelot. I wouldn't begrudge anybody who plays it. I mean, I don't think they're crazy. I don't think it's a bad game, but it's done.
Wow.
Rate this game 6+.
We can't.
I've got too many things to do.
We have to pull you out of Breakfast Gaming Club and all these other. See, the little known fact, folks, is Rafe games like crazy. He just got it locked into. I'm playing D&D for X number of hours on Sunday nights, and I have Breakfast Gaming Club for X number of hours on Saturday nights. So I can't make it on Tuesdays anymore. So I don't play those other games. That's what it is now, right? Pretty much. Right?
Well, yeah, but that's a good example, and we're not playing it on Breakfast Gaming Club.
No. Well, yeah, I'm
play
not saying
weird
that.
games.
But
there.
you play like Agricola, which you
play Euros.
What's the point of that?
Almost exclusively,
right?
In fact, I would probably say exclusively,
over and over again too. It's weird. It ain't right. No boys ain't right. All right,
that ain't right.
Now here's one, Rafe, that you could actually identify with, and I don't even think you'll say it's dead. In episode 8, we reviewed D&D the 4th edition.
I didn't think it was that old.
4E, as they say, the kids say nowadays. 4E. This was back summertime, 2008. What do we think about D&D 4th edition?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have not had more fun playing D&D as I have been with D&D 4th edition. Now, I am playing D&D Essentials, so we have to make a term of art. If people are saying, well, D&D Essentials is a lighter version of D&D 4th, then we're talking about the same thing. If people are saying, no, D&D Essentials is a different game, which I think is not true, then we're talking about something different. So, I mean, I'm playing with Doc and Greg and Angelo, and we have 6th-level characters. I haven't had a 6th-level D&D character since, I was 12. We're having a blast. The game is fun. It holds up. And we're all excited and can't wait for our weekly session. I have all the D&D Essentials books. I bought the D&D Monster Vault. I have the D&D Essentials DM's Guide. I even bought a little sleeve to hold the Monster Vault tokens.
You're pretty serious about this.
Yeah, I've been playing it with Lou. I just picked up an extra set of DM's tokens to play with our sessions. I have the maps. I've been painting minis. I've been using my Descent minis for minis. So I'm liking D&D 4E right now. If I can get a pickup game, meaning where I just walk up with a random ticket and play Essentials, I'll do it at Gen Con, that kind of thing.
Yeah, what about you, Craig?
Fun.
Craig?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I didn't like it when it came out, and I don't like it now. To me, it was an attempt to get the World of Warcraft people back playing role-playing games. It gave up too much of the fun paper pencil aspect for me from my youth, and added wording and mechanics that to me were reminiscent of things that I didn't like because of their association with online multi
MMOs,
people player.
Moo. I think it's interesting because we've watched this now for almost 3 years now, right? Or almost 3 years to the day. And we had mixed feelings about it, right? And I think I said in one of our prediction shows that they had to do something radical.
Yep, you did.
And I think
they did.
And I think Essentials might have been part of that radicalness, right? And I think they did two things. One of the things they dropped the ball on was the original idea they were going to have this online tool to play. Yeah. But I do like where they've gotten to now. So I haven't really done much Essentials as Rafe has. I kind of like the original rules better than Essentials just because I like the meaty stuff. But what I do like is they've got that little beta system going on. I think it's fully open now on their D&D Online, D&D Insider, right, where now you can play online with their system. I also like the all the rules being online. If you're a member of D&D Insider, you have all the rule books in an easily searchable online tool. There's a great character creator online there. You can link up to all the different stuff. It's really easy to crank out a character, see all the background fluff, learn about it, look up what monsters are and everything. I think it's really nice. I played quite a bit with my brother over the wintertime, this past winter, using the online stuff. And it was really, really, I think it was really a great way to play the game. I actually like the combat system. I like how it works. I think it's easy to understand. I kind of like the melding of the board game components of the tokens and everything. I like it. I think it's a solid thing, and I think they've done a good job of taking something that was received with mixed bag and turning it into into a pretty cool system. So
Craig raises a really interesting point. I don't know if the Essentials, the way the book's written or something, but I don't have that MMO feel anymore, or maybe I've somehow gotten used to it. I really did feel that with 4E.
Is the Striker,
I don't with Essentials.
Is the terms like Striker and stuff gone? That's what Craig
yes,
probably,
you know what? I think
maybe
think that must be why.
That's probably what it is.
Yes. Like what's funny is the
classifications that seemed like slang from MMOs.
Yeah, the fighter still holds in tanks. Actually, that's not true. Actually, that's one of the things I love about the fighter. You can build a regular old fighter where he goes out and he kicks butt. He doesn't just glue things to himself like a tank. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that's D&D 4. We're still playing it. Well, Craig's not, but we are. Okay, here we go.
I've played it in forever.
Since December. I played it in December with John.
He was playing it with John and those guys.
Online, yeah.
Until the new...
right before the new World of Warcraft came
until Cataclysm came out.
Yeah, but I would play more if I had people to play with me.
Right. Oh, I get it.
Warhammer.
And just for the record, we did not invite Russ.
They did. It's the RPG I would choose if I was going to play a fantasy RPG. That's the one I would choose. I like the system that much.
What other? Well, okay, I guess you could play fantasy role play
or fantasy battle role playing,
Dragon Age Origins, or how many fantasy role playing games are there? Rafe? Please email Rafe Ranger at Hollywood.
By the way, I almost had a heart attack because I traded that game in, right, fantasy role play, and we're playing Descent, and Lou's like, I want to play that game, Dad, where you use these dice, but you get to play an adventurer, and I'm like, oh no. But I just switched him over to 4E.
Make something up.
Yep. Done.
Okay, so how about the next one? Warhammer 40,000 5th edition.
You played twice, so we could review it, and then never played again.
That's true.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
I may have played it one more time since then, but that's about right.
And I played it a lot, and then it just sort of faded because the people that I regularly associate with had no interest in playing. Yeah,
it hasn't got a lot of traction. There's still a pretty good following in southern New Hampshire in certain places.
And the old game store we used to go to is still huge.
Yeah. We've lost Ragnar because of it.
Right, but I think you can count the number of players from our 20-plus player group that we lost to 5th edition on one hand, right? I mean, how many people...
But most of them weren't playing 40K at that point either.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? Most of our gaming group have moved away.
We've just lost Ragnar.
From 40K. So it's not like...
where we game now doesn't support, enough 40K.
Well, no, I don't...
I don't think of the... Well, I agree with that, but I think it would have if the people... I mean...
Where we play supports...
It's complicated.
Well, where we play will support what people ask for. So... Because if you email them and say, I would like to play Flames of War...
Yeah. That's what I mean.
So
I mean specific to our game group, not Myriad Games.
Right. So what you're saying is the people in our gaming group don't care to play 40K anymore.
Correct.
Right. So that's a statement about the game, not about
we
the store.
play at Myriad, so it all got jumbled together.
Right. It's nothing to do with the store, because the store won't support anything.
It's a statement about the store.
It's that the game no longer appeals to most of us, and most of us used to be very hardcore 40K players. Right.
Big time. It was so hardcore for us that we all took up days of work when 40K 3rd edition launched.
Yeah. So is it just... I don't know what it is. I mean, I think 5th edition is probably the best edition of 40K ever, but it's still...
I think we've outgrown it.
I
don't think you outgrew it. I think you're jaded with it. You've moved on. I think if you had been playing almost anything the way you were playing 40K and the company had treated you the way GW has treated you, that you would have moved on anyway.
No, I don't
think it's a statement about... I don't think it's a statement about the quality or the maturity of the game.
For me, it is. I don't have the angst against GW that most of the world does. I don't care. If they want to do dumb things with their marketing and their soldiers, that's fine. And I'll vote with my dollar. If I like, Sisters of Battle, I'm going to buy them, if I'm still playing it. I don't care. But for me, I think I outgrew the tactics. Once Flames of War came along, I was like, done.
Which is interesting because Flames of War is pretty much the same system.
No, it's not.
At a different scale. It is.
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What? Name 3 elements of the assault phase in Flames of War that are similar.
Forget it, Russ. I'm not going to go there.
No. I think Russ is right on this one.
There's no similarity.
Fine. That's fine. It's like a given that the people who designed it all went from GW and designed it using the GW using the 40K template. But
there's no mechanics that are shared between those two games.
Okay.
There isn't.
Okay.
There's a few.
They don't use the same. No, they don't use the same mechanics at all.
I agree. The world is wrong. I'm okay. It's okay.
Well, no, name 3 parts of this.
I'm not going to name anything, Russ. I'm not going to do it with my wife. I'm not going to do it with you, okay?
Well, but here's just for listeners following along at home. See, if I say that Harry Potter and Name of the Wind are the same, I have to justify it. But Craig can say these 2 games are the same and be like, dude, don't be a jerk and call me out on it. I'm just telling you they're the same and the rest of the world agrees with me.
You're absolutely right.
And then I will quote 3 reviewers. Well, you've only quoted 3. There are certainly more. And now Craig is saying the whole world agrees with him, but has quoted no one.
Yeah, I was right.
You were saying most.
No, but he's saying the whole world. He's quoting nobody. He's saying the whole world, and is quoting no one.
Someone out there may have noticed the hyperbole, but you're right. Yes. I did say the entire world.
The irony is not lost on me, Mr. Gallant. Nice try. Anyway, moving right along.
I would like to put that out there. You're absolutely right. I did say that.
I have to back up Russ on this one, Craig. I understand a lot of the people came from him, but I don't see the similarities.
Right. In the way that you activate, in the phases, that there are similarities. I'm not saying.
I guess you're right. There's movement, shoot, assault, but I don't know that that's unique to 40K. You know,
it was at that point.
At that point, it was.
Yeah. That was. I mean, I'm not making it up. That when that game first came out, people were like, "Oh, that's cool." They took the 40K core idea, and they made a much nicer, tighter rule set that works better and incorporates more things into it. I don't think anyone would argue, unless you thematically, that Flames of War is a better rule set than 40K, or at least
I don't know. I think because we're pretty ignorant in the historical game era, that there would be lots of historical gamers that would say Flames of War could have stolen it from General Debrigade. I mean, move, shoot, assault.
Yeah,
okay. I don't know. You're right. My experience. All I know is when it came out, and to be totally honest about it, I was working for GW at the time, so that was the universe in which I was moving, and all of those people who were vice presidents on down that I talked to were all like, "Oh, it's an awesome game. We played it," but you can tell it was based on 40K. So that's where my brain was.
Where
that
statement
time.
comes from. Yep.
And it wasn't the whole world.
Right,
sorry, I lied.
Well, it's still got obviously a very strong following. It's just not amongst us, right?
Right.
So,
right, absolutely.
Yeah, is what
it's amongst baby.
But look, it still makes us fight.
Craig wants it still to be good, and it just isn't. All right, so moving right along. Mystery of the Abbey and Wings of War. Doubleheader episode 10.
Oh, I'm going to go first on this.
All right, Mystery of the Abbey.
Right, Mystery of the Abbey.
Might as well, because it ruined your couch.
It did.
Yes. What I remember about this game is Shannon or Marisa, because of Shannon, or somehow Shannon was involved, spilling a huge, large goblet of margaritas on the game. Mm-hmm. I remember an epic fail because the wives did not want to play a game, and I forced the issue.
I think they all wanted to play a game. They just didn't want to play that game.
Yeah, they wanted to play, win, lose, or draw or something.
Right, or Pictionary, I think, was the big one.
Pictionary, that's right.
A party game of some kind. Right.
And I remember I can't remember who. Was it Dave? Somebody had to sing in monkish sing-song.
All of us had to talk in sing-song for a whole
that was awesome.
Plain chant, I believe, or plain song.
Yes, that's the one.
Yep. And Wings of War had it with Lou, but it was boring. I have to admit. Planes were so cool. Map was cool. Boring game.
No, wait. Do we move on? Are you in the second game now? Why don't we finish our thoughts on
it's all on number 10.
So, Rafe, what do you think? I think we can all agree Mystery of the Abbey was not a great success amongst us.
I would play Mystery Abbey over that, what's that train game that you like, Ross? That mystery train game?
What?
Mystery of the Express.
Mystery of the Express? Oh, that's a good game, dude.
I'd play Mystery of the Abbey over that train game any day.
All right. Well, fine.
Okay, well, there you go. I did not enjoy Mystery of the Abbey, although it was fun watching Dave get frustrated with the plane song.
Right.
Can we all agree that we should stop talking like this?
So what about Wings of War? Now, this is interesting because we had
what
a lot
do you think on Mystery of the Abbey?
It just wasn't a hit. I think it's the kind of game that I could play with my family if I owned it, and I didn't dislike it as much as everybody else did. But yeah, it's kind of simple. I mean, it was okay. It's all right. I wouldn't buy it. I don't own a copy of it.
Right.
Now, Wings of War is interesting because this game was a huge hit amongst us for a while. I never bought anything, but I know, Craig, you got quite a bit of it. The Sherpa has quite a bit of it.
He got the Italian version.
Yeah. A lot of our players still have their stuff, and it comes out once in a while. I don't see it very often anymore. But
I don't remember the last
Not even from the Necro Gamer.
Well,
he brings out Crimson Skies before he brings this out.
I don't think he ever got into this.
Fantasy Flight just sold the license
Yep.
for Wings of War off
They're
to
done.
Nexus
Sell it, or did they
Games.
lose it?
Well, it went to Nexus Games. I don't know
Right.
what the process there was.
Right.
Who's a small? Now they publish some Nexus games, so there's a relationship there. But basically, Fantasy Flight's no longer dealing with it. So what do we think? Is Wings of War still solid? Do you still like it, Craig? What are you doing with it now?
Well, I haven't played it in forever, but when I did play it, I enjoyed it. And I think it's a light beer and pretzels game, and there are so many light beer and pretzels games around that if you had to pick one category of game that saw the most cycling, it would be, for me, beer and pretzels games, because they're quick, they're fun. You always want to play the newest hotness as far as that goes, because there's a very little cash buy-in. You don't have to worry about buying a whole bunch of stuff. There's very little preparation, so it's not like you're painting up a bunch of models. So those beer and pretzels games, I think, see a lot more cycling, and that, to me, is what happened with Wings of War. I still own it, but I haven't played it in years.
There's a thing with air combat games that I think that I love the idea of air combat games, and I want to play them lots. But I run into the problem I think Rafe runs into with Navy games sometimes, and that is sometimes you start missing each other a lot, and it's just a lot of flying around and not a lot of action.
Yep.
And does that happen in Wings of War? It seems like sometimes it can happen if people aren't paying attention. It's not a clear mission.
Well, I mean, Wings of War, not so much, because you were picking the damage. Every time you got within range, all you did was pick a damage token.
Yeah. So
most of them had a number on them that was the amount of hull points that you did.
Right.
Very few of them were 0, but you could pull out like a 1 or 2 all day long and not do enough damage. I mean, I liked that element because you never knew exactly how much damage you had done to him and if he was going to crash. But if you pulled a bunch of 1s and because they were blind, you didn't see what the damage you were doing. So, you could pick all day if you had a bad game, and it would last forever and be boring. Yes.
So I don't know. I think I would play it again if someone wanted to bring it out. It just hasn't seen a lot of action lately, and maybe that's why it's sort of sputtered out.
Really? So, like, if somebody said, "Hey, Ross, play Wings of War, BattleTech, or HeroScape,"
I would play Wings of War over HeroScape. I would play Wings of War over Crimson Skies. I like Crimson Skies.
It's a better game than
Crimson Skies is a little fiddly. I would, depending on how much time I have, BattleTech, the normal version of BattleTech's not really fair because it's a much longer playing game. So if I have eight hours, So in episode 11, we reviewed nothing. Episode 12 was an interesting review.
Wait. How did we review nothing? Was it a double?
No, we've had episodes where we interview people and talk about.
Was it a double interview or something?
Navel gazing, maybe.
We could do an interview and a navel gazing, and there would be no game review.
Right.
Interesting.
We've done many of those, actually.
But then in episode 12, we talked about, here's a classic, Carcassonne.
Yep.
I just played that the other day.
Right, so obviously it's not dead to you, even though you don't think it's a Euro. So what's the scoop with Carcassonne, Craig?
Well, I'm leaving for Maine, my yearly trip to Maine in 3 days, and I'll be bringing Carcassonne with me, and I imagine it will be played a lot, just like it was last year.
Yep. Do you have any
It's
of the
a great
expansions?
game if you've got a group of people that aren't really gamers, but they like games. It's very simple to.
That's the game.
Yeah, I still really enjoy it. I don't do many of the expansions. In fact, I haven't played since last year Maine, so I can't even remember which expansions I have. But we don't have a lot of the expansions, but the core game and the concept of it is great. And we just played Carcassonne the Castle a little while ago, because that game, which is very, very similar to Carcassonne, is great also.
Is that a 2-player game?
Yeah, that's 2-player.
Yeah, I might get that. Andy brought in Carcassonne: The New World, and he was all frustrated over it. I mean, he was just whining and complaining, and he didn't like building off the sea.
I think it got overcomplicated with the New World.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking about picking up a new variant, because Lou and I have been playing it and having fun.
Yeah.
What would be the next variant you recommend? The castles? Because we just play he and I.
Well, it's not an The castle is a totally different game.
Right, whole different game, right?
It's it uses tiles. You're still trying to connect roads and build buildings and stuff. So it's a game that he will recognize as related to regular Carcassonne, but it's quicker and it's more limiting. And it actually has a bunch of other cool stuff that can go on that you're trying to capture these different things, and
I'll check it out.
Yeah, so I enjoy it a lot. I don't think I would go with New World because somebody explained it to me and they were like, oh, and then you've got like cavemen and they're trying to find stuff. And I'm like, I like the simplicity of it, so I don't want it more complicated.
Now, it's dead to Russ. I haven't seen him play it
Actually,
ever.
it's not dead. I don't own a copy, but it's one of the most played Xbox Live arcade games on my Xbox.
Oh, interesting.
You can play it multiplayer on the controllers. So basically, imagine a Carcassonne board projected on your 40-inch television on the wall. So basically, that's what we do. So we said, we each got up a controller, and the girls and I play Carcassonne. We love it. We play it quite a bit. What I like most about that mode is it does the farmer scoring for you.
Yeah, that's the most important
which is
thing.
definitely a win. And it looks great. It's got nice little, kind of relaxing classical music. It's very, very mellow. And when you put down a little farmer, it goes, makes little cheap noises and stuff.
Yeah.
So Carcassonne's still doing pretty well. And just for the record, Rafe, in episode 11, we talked about the War Machine Hordes team tournament, and we did a mulling mechanics segment, which is why
Okay, cool.
show there. Now, episode 12, we discussed 2 more games. And I have no idea we crammed these 2 together, but we reviewed
That looks like it was a tough.
Battlelore and Hordes.
I mean, episode 13.
13, lucky 13. Battlelore Hordes. Now, Battlelore is really interesting because here's a game.
This is interesting to me.
Here's a game that I really love when it came out.
You love it.
I did a XCAM in it for a while. I play it probably in the last 6 months. I probably played it twice, and actually just the other day I tweeted a picture of it loaded up in my trunk with all the. And every time an expansion comes out, I feel compelled to buy it.
You buy them, yep.
I have the
It's
Hydra,
a good game.
and Ian said, Russ, because I was available early to play Battleship with him the other day, and he said, bring Battlelore. I've been itching to play Battlelore again, so I brought it all out. Now, we didn't get a chance to play because we got distracted by we played Battleship for longer than we expected, but it's definitely, again, the people...
Due to the setup time, just saying.
And here's the interesting thing about Battlelore is when Westeros came out,
Yes.
I thought, and I own Westeros also, and I thought I'd always want to play Westeros, but for some reason, I find myself still compelled to go back to Battlelore first. I think it's the crazy monsters and all the crazy fantasy stuff. I think I like it. Gives me that Warhammer Fantasy fix where kind of it gives me that feeling of dragons and giants and mights.
But when we reviewed it, none of that. I mean, there were 2 monsters that were out, and that was it.
Yeah, and I had the troll, right? But see, now that's why I like it even more because now they've got siege equipment. The dwarves have like catapults and stuff. They've got bear riders. They've got the different kinds of dragons now. There's like 3 different kinds of different colors. And different
This
heads.
is a set of games that if you said to me, Rafe, Battleship Galactica, whatever the hell it's called, or Battlelore/Westeros, I'd play Battlelore/Westeros in a heartbeat.
Yeah, well, I think Battlelore is still a really good game, and if you can get a hold of it, it's still hard
That's
to find.
why I'm mad.
Yeah, you can still get it with the English rule, with the French.
No,
English
not
rules.
that. I'm mad because I want to play Battlelore.
You can.
No, I can't.
Just show up on Tuesday and say, Russ, bring Battlelore, I'll play you.
Yeah, you
all you
want to
gotta
skip
do.
farming for a Saturday and come
All
to
you
a
gotta do is
Tuesday
come on
when
a
you don't
Tuesday,
have
dude.
World Flames of War planned out.
Right.
Okay.
I'll
All right.
play them. Literally, my trunk was loaded with Battlelore this Tuesday.
Now, what do you mean you can't get them? I knew Fantasy Flight Games wasn't doing something with it, but I
Well,
thought they were redoing it, relaunching it.
Well, no, they've been making expansions for a while now.
but you can't get the core game.
The core game was out of print, but then they found a big batch of them in France and repackaged them and stuck the English rules inside there.
Can you still get those?
I believe you can still find those some places, but basically they haven't done an official reprinting of Battlelore. And Fantasy Flight has claimed they could never reprint Battlelore at the price Days of Wonder was able to do it originally. So the line is still officially still supported. The game's still on their website. There are still expansions to buy for it. The original game is still available in some places in this converted version, but it's unclear how much longer it'll be supported.
So just for fun, like, do you have an idea what your original base copy was worth to collectors?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if there's I don't know if it's. I think you can still get a copy pretty reasonably right now because there's still
see
the
what
French ones out there.
eBay has to say about
Yeah,
it.
try it out. So, Craig, what do you think about Battlelore? Are you still more of the Westeros camp now, or
I am. Yeah.
Westeros is fun.
it's a good game? No, don't get me wrong, it's great.
I mean, I liked Battlelore, but I was like, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And Westeros is one of those games where I keep looking at it on my shelf, wishing I had time to play it.
You know what? Westeros is definitely a better war game. There's no doubt in my mind it's a better war game, more strategic, more
But
tactical.
I get where theme is pulling you towards.
Well, it's theme, and it's also sometimes you want that lighter. You know, you don't want that much thinking. You know what I mean? Like you just
That's
want that
true.
lighter, and it's
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah.
Now at the same time, while Rafe's researching eBay right now, we
Well,
also
I found Battlelore new in box,
Yeah.
plus the 9 expansions, $254. That sounds like a pretty good deal if you wanted
That
all
sounds like-
9.
Yeah,
of
for
these.
9 expansions, that's actually a good deal for 9 expansions. I think you're probably getting at list, if not below, for that.
And then there's a Battlelore not new. Buy it now, $80.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, so I'm saying you could probably still get it, and your local retailer might be able to get it, or or order it from a fellow retailer and get it transferred over because they're not unavailable completely. You can still find them. Now, what about Hordes? So, now both War Machine and Hordes are all in Mark II mode now anyway. We haven't really talked about that much, but we did later in our shows. But Hordes, how are we feeling about Hordes? Now, Craig, you always liked Hordes a little bit more than War Machine.
I did, but ultimately I came to the conclusion that I don't like either of them enough to play them when there's other options. And now that there's no, monolithic game, whereas when I started playing War Machine, it was because that was the monolithic game. If I wanted to play with my friends, I had to play War Machine.
Right.
And then I jumped into Hordes for the same reason, because I could play War Machine, and I liked Hordes better than War Machine. But now that there is no monolithic game, and you don't go in and see my core group of friends all playing one game, it's like, well, if I'm going to choose, a game that 2 or 3 people are playing that I like playing with, I'm going to choose a game that I enjoy and I like the models, and so I will be selling all my Horde stuff also.
Yeah, I think the key here, and this may come to Rafe's point, is that there's enough games now, and our group, and it's our group too, because most gaming groups, I think, maybe not, I don't know, maybe most gaming groups are more focused than we are, but we've been become very eclectic, right? Yeah. So, and we're also big enough where I can go I get in modes where I just want to play board games, and I'll go several Tuesdays in a row and I'll only play board games. And then I'll be like, I just want to play miniature war games, and I'll go several Tuesdays in a row and I'll only play, I'll play War Machine first and I'll play Dystopian War second, and that'll be my evening, So I think, but you're right, there's enough people now who will play different miniature games that, because you can call up people who will play Epic with you, no problem. Yep. You can call up people who will play Dystopian Wars with you, no problem. There's plenty of Malifaux players out there. There's plenty. There's all kinds of new ones, Dark Age, and all the other new ones that are floating around right now. So I still think Hordes is a fantastic game. I still own my Troll Bloods. I still like to play Hordes. I think I like how Hordes works. It's just I like the look and feel. I'm the opposite of Craig. Craig liked the look and feel of Hordes slightly better than War Machine. I'm the other way. I like my Signars, lightning and high tech and giant walkers now and everything cooler than my Trolls, because I'm a sci-fi guy more than a fantasy guy, I guess. So I don't have time really to maintain 2 of these armies now, because again, there's also other miniature war games I'm supporting. I'm doing Dystopian Wars. I'm doing Firestorm. I like my Uncharted Seas. I got my Malifaux still rocking. I mean, my shopping list, my first 10 items on my shopping list for Gen Con are Malifaux related. Right. There's only so many things you can support. So I pull back on Hordes, but we have a lot of players in our group that are still very diehard Hordes folks. Hordes is probably played in our area equally to War Machine, and I would say it's one of the 2 most commonly played miniature war games you see at our store where we play.
Yeah, especially right now, there's a league.
Yeah, and there's a league. There's a Monday night that we don't really go to much, where it's got a very, very full of either War Machine or Wards players. So those are probably the 2 most.
Machine or Wards.
Wards. Right?
It's a good thing it's the lost chapter.
So those are probably the most played. If you counted the number of miniature war games played per week at Myriad, that's
Warma Hordes.
Warma Hordes is probably the most played,
which is way better than
Warma Hordes.
War Machine and Wards.
Right.
I completed my research, and you can get the Battle Lore Repurposed Edition, which is the French edition with English PDF rules, for $80. Mm-hmm. Now, what's important about this is, I have to say before I talk about Hordes, is I'm now picturing myself on the auction roadshow. Yeah. That auction show? What's that called?
Antique Roadshow?
Antique Roadshow. Russ, and I've got a little pointer. And I'm really old, and I've got gray hair, and I'm kind of bald, but I'm wearing a little mustache or something. And I'm pointing to the young man who's like, my dad had this game, and I think it's worth, like, a lot of money. And I'll say, well, you see here on the box, you see how it's in French. Right. This was actually repurposed in about 2011. So this is not the original, and it's only worth 2,000 quid.
Yeah, but you know what?
What?
They might say, though, but the French one was rarer because only 500 copies were repurposed French, but the original printing was 3,000. And therefore, the French version, kind of like when they get a mistake in a rulebook, is worth more.
That's right.
Than the English version.
And I'll say, to an antique board game collector, this could be worth. Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
This could be worth. I think where they pause and the little banner comes along the bottom.
Yep.
£3. What are your thoughts on Hordes, Rafe? And then I'm going to kick us out of Dunks here in a minute.
Still love the game. I do. If I was on an island, right, and I had only one to pick one between the 2, I would pick War Machine. I love my Khador. That's the true way to say it, even though the creator of the game says it's Khador. I I really like Hordes. I love how you can integrate it into the system. I love it when you're trying to play a different game, fantasy versus sci-fi. I love my Circle of Oberos. I'm happy, man. There's just not enough time. Not enough time. Makes me want to cry a little. I cry a little. When Craig
Cry a
sold
little in your iced coffee.
when he sold his troll buds, I cried.
I haven't sold them yet.
I cried a little. When I don't hear Russ rubbing his hands together in glee because he gets a little pig that gets to ride on the back of a big troll, I cry a little inside.
I still have all that. I'm not selling my Hordes anytime soon.
I know you're going to sell it, but you're all into your,
No,
your
I
big
won't sell it.
electric.
Well, you know what's going to get me is when they start working on Hordes, I have to see what they're going to do for battle engines for Hordes. Because I'm going to freak out a little bit when there's a giant troll with like something on his back that looks like a small airship or something.
Okay.
I'm really freaking out. Trolls hanging from dirigibles.
Remember that?
Matt, I want 10% of all
Remember
trolls hanging from dirigibles. I'm claiming it now. It's my idea. Trolls hanging
Craig,
from dirigibles.
the standard noise Russ used to like with the impalers when he'd throw them, he'd go thwack.
Yes, I do.
I'll be back. I can thwack.
I miss that.
I don't mind
those
thwacking.
days.
All right. Well, they're going to kick us out of Dunks here soon.
Yeah.
They're closing.
Hey, easy, buddy. Okay, we're leaving.
Right.
Jeez, die.
And where the hell are the powdered donuts?
I know, right? What is up with that?
I tried Googling it. No luck.
Yeah, they're gone. It's a lost art. Making powdered donuts.
And for those of you who are still curious, H&M is apparently some kind of fashionista clothing store.
There you go.
I had to admit, I thought it had to do with whips and chains or something.
Yeah, I thought it was more interesting than that too. And I can't for the life of me find out what H&M stands for. Nobody cares. They just want to know when they can
I
buy
think
it
my wife
online.
gets those. I think she gets those catalogs. They're those little mini European catalogs. It's like
Right.
Harrison Mann's or something.
Harrison Mann.
No, but apparently the stiff competition of Forever 21, Topshop, and especially Urban Outfitters. And I have to say, if a store is called Forever 21, nobody who's even close to 21 is shopping there.
It's true.
It's a bunch of dead teenagers who are who saw the back end of 30 years ago, who still dress in clothes that don't fit that they were wearing
But
back in the
would you
70s and 80s.
Where would you rather shop? Forever 21 or Forever 41? That's
Exactly.
What I'm
Yeah,
Wait a
that's
minute,
what
they're
I'm
forever
saying.
dead? They're forever dead teenagers? Those kind of like zombies? That's kind of cool.
Forever
Yeah, have you ever
zombies.
heard the term dead teenagers? That's what my father called them.
Oh, to dirt.
No. What does that mean?
Dead teenagers. A dead teenager would be a woman who dresses like she is a teenager, but she hasn't been a teenager for like 20 or 30 years.
But wouldn't that be trying to being a teenager, keeping that alive?
On that
Why
note,
would you argue with I'm just telling you what my
I don't
father said, and
understand
I
what-
thought it was funny.
Craig,
I don't understand where Gerald's coming from on that one.
Well,
Could you pass
Gerald
that
is a
along to
funny
him?
man, and he's wise.
Craig,
And wise
he
in
is
the ways
wise.
of dead teenagers.
He's
So-
very wise.
All right. We need documented evidence as to why that term is applicable. All right, that is at the end of our episode 12.
Get out!
Episode 13.
Get off my
He's
lawn.
upset.
Oh, 13. I can't even figure this out. All right, another lost
The
chapter.
luck is now caught up with us.
Another lost chapter is done. Whatever.
See ya.
Better or worse.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost Chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.
Sing me a song, you're the piano man. Sing me a song tonight. 'Cause we're all in the mood for a melody. And you've got us feeling alright.
Oh,
Da-da-da-da-da.